Welcome to The Explainer. We're about to unpack a huge geopolitical puzzle. Why is this vast, icy island, a place that's mostly uninhabited, suddenly at the absolute center of a high-stakes power struggle between the world's biggest superpowers? Okay, let's just dive right in. What is the big deal with Greenland? Why are countries like the United States, Russia, and China all of a sudden so intensely focused on it? Well, the answer is this fascinating mix of old-school military fears and brand-new opportunities that could literally reshape the world as we know it. To really get the picture here, you have to start with the sheer scale of the place. I mean, Greenland is just enormous. As you can see, it's bigger than all of Indonesia combined. It's this immense, strategic piece of real estate sitting right at the top of the world. But here's the crazy part. Almost nobody lives there. The population is just 57,000 people. That's about the size of a small town, mostly just clinging to the tiny bits of coastline where the ice finally gives way. This huge contrast, vast empty land and a tiny population, is absolutely key to this whole story. Now, this whole thing really exploded into the headlines when Donald Trump very publicly said he wanted to buy the island. And yeah, his approach was blunt. But all it really did was drag a long-simmering American obsession out into the daylight. Believe me, this story did not start with him. To really get what's happening today, we've got to look back, because the first piece of this puzzle isn't new at all. In fact, it's rooted in over 100 years of military strategy. Look, this isn't some new fad for the US. It's a pattern. Right after they bought Alaska way back in 1867, they immediately tried to buy Greenland. They tried again in 1910. After World War II, President Truman offered $100 million in solid gold for it. Every single attempt was about one thing: getting a strategic upper hand in the Arctic. So, fast forward to today, and it's all about control. Greenland is parked perfectly between Russia and North America. It's home to a critical US military base with this incredibly important early warning radar system, the thing that's designed to spot nuclear missiles coming over the North Pole. The big fear in Washington is that if Greenland gets full independence from Denmark, they could just say, "Hey, America, pack our bags," leaving the US completely blind to threats from that direction. But the game has totally changed. It's about way more than just military bases now. See, buried under that 2-kilometer thick sheet of ice is a modern-day gold rush just waiting to happen. Now, to understand this treasure, you have to understand this number. Right now, China controls something like 90% of the world's supply of what are called rare earth elements. And listen, that's not just some boring statistic. It gives China a massive chokehold on the production of pretty much every piece of modern tech we rely on, from your phone to the servers that run the internet. And that is exactly why Greenland is suddenly so vital. It is sitting on vast, completely untapped reserves of these exact same minerals. We're talking neodymium for the magnets in electric cars and wind turbines, gallium for the AI chips that will power the future, not to mention uranium, silicon, and an estimated 31 billion barrels of oil. For the West, Greenland is basically the single biggest chance they have to break China's strategic monopoly on the building blocks of our entire world. Okay, so we've got military position and a buried treasure chest. But there's a third reason, and honestly, this one might just be the ultimate prize. It's something that could reshape the entire global order, and it's being unlocked by a force nobody can control: climate change. As the world gets warmer, that ancient solid ice in the Arctic is melting, and for the very first time in human history, it's opening up a legendary sea route that explorers have been trying to find for centuries. And just look at what a massive difference this makes. The old way to ship goods from, say, China to Europe is through the Suez Canal. It's long, it gets clogged up, but this new Arctic Northwest Passage, it shaves off about 9,000 kilometers. That saves shipping companies millions in fuel and up to 2 weeks of travel time. For you and me, that could mean cheaper stuff, delivered faster. It's a total revolution for global trade. So here's the bottom line. Greenland sits right at the eastern entrance of this new global superhighway. Whoever controls Greenland effectively owns the toll plaza on the most important new trade route of the 21st century. They get to control who passes through, they provide the security, and they can charge for it. So you put it all together, the strategic military spot, the treasure trove of minerals, and the key to a new global trade route. And yeah, you can see why this superpower rivalry has such incredibly profound and frankly dangerous implications for all of us. And the stakes here could not be higher. You see, Denmark, who Greenland is a part of, is a founding member of NATO. The whole point of NATO is that an attack on one member is an attack on all of them. So if the United States, a NATO member, were to forcibly take territory from Denmark, another NATO ally, well, the entire alliance that's kept the peace for over 70 years could just collapse overnight. I mean, the potential fallout is just staggering. Sure, the US would become the undisputed power in the Arctic, but it would probably shatter its relationship with Europe. It would completely upend the global economy by seizing control of those critical minerals. Plus, aggressive mining could trigger an environmental catastrophe in a really fragile ecosystem, all while potentially erasing the ancient culture and the right to self-rule of the Greenlandic people themselves. And that really brings us to the final question. As the ice melts, a new world of opportunities and dangers is being laid bare. And the fate of this remote, frozen island is no longer some local issue. It could very well decide the balance of power, the health of our planet, and the nature of global politics for the next 100 years.